AOC, look, I think she's very nice, but she's very low IQ. And we really don't need low IQ. Between her and Crockett, we're going to give them both an IQ test to see who comes out best. Now, I took my test. I took a real test at Walter Reed Medical Center, and I aced it. I got every one of all those questions right. Now it's time for them to take a test.
36 seconds in, Trump slammed the table, pointed at Jasmine Crockett, and spat the words, "She's low IQ. I dare her to take a test." Cameras snapped, gasps rose, but Jasmine didn't flinch. Instead, she pulled out a sealed envelope, letting it fall onto the table like a hammer. What was inside that made the loudest man in America sit back in silence, like he'd just seen a ghost?
I can't name one Democrat. I mean, I look at the Democrats, they're in total disarray. They have a new person named Crockett. I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. And they said she's the future of the party.
He is constantly focused on me. And personally, I've never met the man. I have no interest in going to the White House and meeting him or
that
talking.
might surprise people that you've never met.
I have never met him, but for whatever reason, I live rent free. And honestly, the biggest concern that I have is that every time he does something, he has minions that see it as a dog whistle.
The hearing room had a perfect, sterile air, almost too polished, like someone had wiped down democracy itself. The marble floors gleamed, and the lights stabbed down from above, clinical and exposing. The flags behind them stood stiff and lifeless, as though ironed into submission. This wasn't Capitol Hill. This was Capitol Theater, and in the lead role, Jasmine Crockett. She walked in like she'd done this before, but not like this. No flashy smiles, no bright colors, just a midnight blue suit sharp enough to cut through pretense, and a gaze that froze smugness in its tracks. Jim Jordan nudged Eric Trump, who smirked and sized her up, dismissing her as some unworthy opponent. Donald Trump, already seated at the witness table, wore his usual smug grin. But as Jasmine passed, she didn't flinch, didn't acknowledge the noise. She sat down, opening her folder with the precision of someone about to deliver a sermon. A single unmarked envelope landed in the center of the table, and somehow the room changed when it touched the wood. The cameras zoomed in. The phrase IQ test was trending before the words were even spoken. Chairman Menn cleared his throat, preparing to introduce the day's hearing, a discussion on academic transparency and public leadership. He didn't glance at Trump, but the room did. Jasmine tapped the envelope once, and Trump's grin faltered. He didn't blink, but he had, in that brief moment, lost control. The trap had been set. Trump pressed on, leaning into the mic with confidence, boasting about his own high IQ, dismissing anyone who questioned him. He challenged Jasmine to take an IQ test, a challenge that quickly spread across social media. But Jasmine, unshaken, just shifted the envelope closer to the mic, her silence louder than his words. The tension in the room thickened. As Trump rambled on, unaware of the trap tightening around him, Jasmine quietly shifted in her seat. A moment passed. Jasmine requested to move her questioning to the end of the session, and though the room was curious, no one objected. In the back hallway, her aides moved swiftly, one carrying a thick envelope stamped with "Confidential 1964 Admissions." Jasmine didn't need to glance back to know it had arrived. She slid it beneath her papers, fingers resting on it like it held the weight of history. Trump continued his rant, mocking academic standards, but Jasmine wasn't listening. She was focused on a memory. Her father, a teacher who never made more than $42,000 a year, telling her, "The most dangerous thing you can bring into a room is the truth dressed like a whisper." She was ready. When the recess was called and the room shifted, she remained still, precise, waiting for the right moment. Her aides brought her another piece of evidence, a manila envelope holding proof that would shatter Trump's carefully constructed narrative. The moment it touched the table, the room felt different. What was in that envelope? It wasn't just an IQ test. It was something that would make Trump wish the cameras had been turned off. The silence in the room deepened, thick with anticipation. Jasmine stood. Without rushing, she approached the microphone and began with deliberate calm. Mr. Trump, you mentioned your SAT scores and your academic excellence. Would you be willing to make your records public? Trump, too confident, agreed. He had nothing to hide. Jasmine slowly opened her folder, placed a yellowed letter from the New York Military Academy on the table, and read aloud. Trump's scheduled SAT exam in 1964. He wasn't there. The letter confirmed it. The room fell silent. Then the truth exploded. Jasmine revealed a video from Robert Steedman, a man who had taken the SAT for Trump that year. Trump's face twisted with fury, but the evidence didn't stop there. Jasmine had receipts. "This is not fake news," she said. "This is a sworn statement from a witness." Trump's face reddened as he tried to shut it down, but the truth had already spread like wildfire across the room, beyond it, and into the public. Jasmine had done it. She had exposed the lie, and in doing so, dismantled the myth Trump had built for decades. She wasn't shouting. She wasn't angry. She was calm, surgical, and she had proven him wrong without ever losing control. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button. The next one will be even more conversational.